Via the self-authoring platform, you can build standard assessments, you can build surveys, and you can build 360s. A 360 is a full view of an employee. So if you're doing development on, say, me, you might want to see feedback from my boss, feedback from some direct reports, and feedback from some of my peers. A 360 combines that into a single scoring and report routine. Okay, so we'll name this. You can do it in the language as desired, and you click Create. And this may be a palette or a platform that you're used to seeing. The authoring tool itself, you can add questions, you can add scores, you can add demographics. We won't go into reports because that's a separate video, but this is how you change from a 360 perspective. The items are the same. You can use any of our item types in a 360. A really common item type is a rating scale. Please rate this person on the following statements. And then you can put some type of scale in. Strongly agree to neutral. And you can add as many as you want here by clicking on the add response option here. But I'll put strongly disagree. And then you can add some questions, and I'll make some really silly ones like I like this person. This person is a good employee. Okay, so probably not the best questions ever written, but then you can put scales in. So say you want this to be 1, this to be 0, and this to be -1 or something like that. You could establish those scales and put those in. So I'll click Finish just for the sake of having a really simple item. And then for a 360, one of the essential things that you need to do when setting this up is click on the Settings icon, and there is an option for instrument type within those settings. So if I click on that icon, I see instrument type, survey, 360, or assessment. We're going to click 360. Up in the top here, it's a little ghosted right now, are some notifications that tell me, or suggestions that tell me, hey, something's up. So if I click on that, it says this assessment has no scores and a 360 role demographic has not been selected. So once I change that to a 360, the functionality changed a little bit. And on this, I can select my role, subject, boss, peer, direct report. You can always go to demographics and create your own custom role, but this is a very common role type. And then it says, how many would you like to be your minimum? I want 1 subject. I want maybe 3. Whoops. I want 1 boss and maybe 2 direct reports or 2 peers and 3 direct reports. I can set those minimums, so at assignment, we let you know how many of these need done. And as you can see, my suggestions went away. So I have a question, I have a role demographic, which are 2 of the components of a 360, and then one of the major changes within this from a standard assessment is we have this score called 360 average. You can still use the other scores, but 360 average is used almost exclusively throughout a 360. So I click on that, and let's say I'm going to do overall average. I'm not the best typer speller when I'm doing demonstrations, so I apologize for that. So maybe you want to establish the overall average of boss, peer, and direct report, but you don't want to include the subject in this score, so we'll call this overall subject or overall average of raters. So that makes the distinction that we're not including the subject. And then you can include the questions that you want in that. So you could imagine if you had 60 questions on your 360, you would select all 60 of those. And now I'm going to get a boss, peer, and direct report average. So that's pretty handy. Just to make it clear on how this differentiates, then we could also create an overall average for just the self. So just what I, as in my fictional example, answered, you want to see how I thought I did overall. So I would just click the subject and click the same section. I can create an unlimited number of these scores. I could create question number 1 average. I could create within a competency just everything we're asking about customer service. I could create averages on those. Averages are a big part of 360s. So I've established a question, I've established a couple of scores, and I've established the role demographic. So that's really all I need to create a 360. I could create a report, but like I said, there are other videos to demonstrate that. Then the final piece we put in are previews. 360s are a little bit different than a standard preview for an assessment. So we allow you to add some raters. So it's going to deliver a subject regardless. I could launch and deliver the subject, but I can also deliver maybe one boss, one peer, and one direct report just for kicks. So if I click launch preview, it's going to first deliver that subject assessment for me. So I like this person, and I probably should have put this all on one screen. And then as I finish a 360 for a given subject, it marks it up here as completed and then tells me the other ones that I need to complete. So I'll quickly click through one more of these, and you can see as you finish those, it starts to update and says, hey, I've completed each one of these pieces, and then it'll combine it into an overall 360 score. So as of right now, our scores are incomplete, but when I finish this last direct report, which I'm going to go right here, it'll update those scores and tell us the overall average rater was minus 0.33, the overall average self was 1. It gives us the response answers for each of the groups here below, and if we have a report, that would be set up. So this tells us a little bit about the 360. We need to round our score, which is an option within the score, but it's a very quick way for you to build out a 360, build out some average rating scores from those 360s, review your analysis, and then the next step would be to build your report. So that's a little bit about 360. Hopefully, if you have any questions, you can reach out, but it's a great way to set up an overall development review of an individual.